Now I want to be as clear as possible in this video, and I do not want to skip a beat. And I want to welcome everybody to another Semen Retention Sunday episode here on the Regal channel. When I say that semen retention is for retarded people, I mean that. It's for people that are striving to do semen retention for strange reasons. I ask these people that are reaching out to me, I get people reaching out to me all the time about questions on semen retention and ways to look at things on semen retention, and I always ask them, I say, well, what are your intentions exactly? What are you trying to do with semen retention? And oftentimes they'll say that it's to attract girls. Well, that's kind of retarded. It's just a retarded behavior. And I'm not saying that you're retarded really, but your behavior is kind of retarded. And I think that somebody needs to tell you, and so that person might as well be me, and I'm just the messenger, okay? I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes. I'm not trying to be a rude person or anything like that. I'm just trying to speak the truth as I see it and go from there. But I see a lot of these people that are doing semen retention, and they're trying to talk about certain things or do certain things on semen retention, and they're not getting anywhere. They're not getting the fruits that they want. It's like, well, a good tree will bear good fruit, right? That's what the Bible says. So if you're not bearing good fruit, well, maybe you're not either transmuting the energy enough, and maybe you're not learning how to positively reward your nervous system, because that's really what semen retention is about. Anybody that's studied behavior analysis and psychology understands that you need positive reinforcement, and it actually is somebody of a higher caliber and IQ to understand that not only do they need to do positive reinforcement for other people, but also for themselves. What are you rewarding yourself with? What kind of things are you doing to reward yourself? Because if you're rewarding yourself with pizza and ice cream, or you're rewarding yourself like, hey, I went with a week without busting a nut, well, I guess I'll go watch Corn now. What are you training yourself to do exactly? Okay, you've got to look at this from a psychological and spiritual perspective. The kinds of things you're going to reward yourself for what you're doing now, that's going to play a factor in how you grow as a person. That's going to play a factor in how you operate as a man. And if you reward yourself poorly, if you reward yourself by smoking weed or doing all these other things, because this is something else I wanted to talk about, is anybody that's done psychedelics, and that has done psychedelics with other people maybe, and you've noticed that you're getting different results. You're getting something much deeper from the experience that other people are just not getting for some reason. People are just not getting the kind of fulfillment that you did from psychedelics. And I'm not advocating for this kind of behavior, because I haven't done psychedelics in almost 4 years now, as far as a decent, trip, and I'm not telling you to do that, but I'm just saying that anybody that's done this understands what I'm talking about. It's the same kind of thing with men on semen retention. You can tell by the way a man asks questions and the way that a man is confronting the challenges of semen retention. You can tell a lot about their maturity and their maturation level based on the kinds of questions they're asking. And this goes in general, but especially for semen retention, And if you're just starting out in semen retention, it's going to be okay for you to make a few mistakes or to make some relapses or not. I'm not telling you that relapses are retarded. And I'm definitely not trying to condemn anybody with this kind of vocabulary. What I'm saying is, if you don't know how to handle yourself, and you don't really know what it's like to really, I've got the lighting here a little bit better maybe. If you don't really know what it's like to have self-control and self-discipline, then Semen retention is going to show you that. Semen retention is going to show you that. And if you are too ignorant to believe that you're entirely incapable of seeing what it is that you need to see, because the ego doesn't want to see certain things. Okay, the ego, it doesn't want to see where it's actually, not living up to its potential. But that's the thing, that's the thing, is a lot of people are not living up to their potential. And it's sad to see, because a lot of that potential is going to go right into the graveyard. A lot of that potential, these people out here, I've talked to so many men. If they just didn't give up, they would have gotten a lot further. Would they have been the president of the United States or a world leader? No. And I'm not saying you should aim for that, by the way. I'm just saying that this is an example. People like this have so much potential. They have so much fortitude until they don't. And it's because they're not rewarding themselves appropriately. They're not knowing how to reward themselves. When you get to a certain point in life, not just on semen retention, but also just in your work, in your business, whatever it is you're doing, the work itself is almost pleasurable. The work itself, the sorrow itself, the Bible says that sorrow is more valuable than laughter. The sorrow itself doesn't really become pleasurable necessarily, but it becomes a way in which you can deal with life meaningfully. And that itself is profound. That itself is really going to amp up your proclivity toward meaning and responsibility. And that's what a lot of people on semen retention just don't seem to want to do. Once they get to a certain point, they realize that this is hard. This is difficult. No pun intended. But this is difficult. And this is something that is going to really take a lot of effort and discipline. And it takes way more discipline than you'd think. But that's the challenge. That's part of why we do what we do here. That's part of the reason why we practice this practice, is because we're showing ourselves that we can do hard things. And we're rewarding ourselves by seeing the meaning in the difficulty. Okay? Let me say it again. Reward yourself for seeing the meaning in the difficulty of the challenge. This is about more than will, but it's the will to take action. It's the will to act. Okay, remember in The Dark Knight, the Batman Begins movie, when they're on the ice and Batman's teacher is telling him, your parents died because of your father. And Bruce says, well, that man had a gun. And then the teacher says, well, would have that stopped you? And Bruce Wayne, Batman, says, yeah, but I've had training. And he says, training is nothing. Will is everything. It's the will to act. Think about your willpower as the sun here. It's a beautiful day. Finally warm enough to come outside and shoot the crap with you guys about semen retention, and hopefully give some insight and some wisdom to pour into your spirit here that you'll take and do something with. Think about your willpower as the sun or a star in your belly. And if you have a lot of hard, intense, fast heat, well, what happens? Well, if you're any kind of astronomer out there, you know that the bigger the star, the hotter the flame, and then it also doesn't really last as long sometimes too, right? Because the hotter the flame, the quicker the burnout sometimes. But the smaller stars, they don't always last too long either. But it's always those medium-sized stars that they seem to have it going for them, because they're not burning too hot, but they're not burning too low either. It's what makes our sun so cool, right? Now we can get into the metaphysics of the firmament and whether or not space exists and all that, but we'll save that for another time. But for all intents and purposes and practicalities, look at it like this for a second and see that on semen retention, your will is going to be like the sun. And you've got to learn how to cultivate a warmth and the will to take action without burning out and without fading away. Well, how do you do that? Well, God will guide you naturally, but you also have to have proper intentions, and you have to learn how to positively reinforce your behaviors. This is again where behavior psychology comes into play. If you don't know how to reward yourself psychologically and spiritually, you're going to turn to addictions, you're going to turn to all these other things to try to make yourself feel alive, to try to make yourself feel something. And I get it. You know, some of the smartest people I've ever met were people that were addicts of some kind. Some of the smartest people I've ever met were people that were just entirely addicted, but they didn't know how to not get addicted. And it's because they couldn't handle the vessel of their energy. And that sometimes happens on semen retention too, you know. This is one of the reasons also I say why semen retention doesn't work for retards. If you are participating in retarded behaviors and you're trying to harness the energy of a star, so to speak, in your body, because it has been proven that one cell of your human flesh has the potential power to light up the whole city of like a big city, right? Like that's something that's been scientifically proven, and other people have talked about this before as well. If that's the case, then think about the kind of power that is contained inside of you. And instead of building something or creating something, you're going onto the corn sites and you're giving way to all these demons. Look, the devil, demons, they don't want you on semen retention. And you know, that might be a whole topic in of itself, but the devil doesn't want you on semen retention because you'll be able to realize your full potential. And the thing is, though, is if you don't do anything with that potential, if you don't do anything with that energy, it's just going to go to waste, and you're going to start to consume things too much. You're just going to become a consumer again, which is the whole reason not to do this. Like, the whole reason to get on semen retention is to grow closer to God, and not really to attract women, even though that's going to be a benefit. But that's another thing, you know, I get a lot of emails or messages in Instagram and all that. They ask me, you know, why am I not getting the benefits? Well, what are you doing? Like, what are you participating in? Like, are you changing your behaviors at all? It's like, no, I just have so much energy and I can't sleep. I can't do this. I can't. And they just say to themselves, I can't. Your mind is a computer. You can think about it like an electromagnetic satellite. What the input is, the output will be. And so if you tell yourself, I can't, guess what the output is going to be? You can't. So you've got to tell yourself that I am entirely capable. I'm entirely confident, even if you don't really believe it. You know, this is something we talked about in the Regal assembly call in the Regal Change Academy earlier today. Somebody was asking about, you know, how to start a YouTube channel, or how to have the confidence in what you do and whatnot. And that was kind of the topic itself in some way. And it's like how to have confidence in what you're doing and how to have confidence in your competence. Well, you gotta just believe it. Like, you gotta believe that you need to get those reps in. It's like the gym. If you try to go lift 450 pounds on the bench press the first time, and you've never been to the gym in your freaking life, are you gonna try to lift that 450 pounds and be like, oh, you know, I can't do this. I can't do the gym. No, you're not going to do that because it's a lot of weight, man. It's a lot of weight. You got to build up to that. You've got to get those reps in at, like, maybe you might have to go down to just the bar at 45 pounds. You might be at that point, and I'm not judging you because I know what it's like to be at that low and have really nothing going for you, because I was almost 200 pounds at one point, and I'm 5'6". Okay, so I'm now I'm about 155, and sometimes when I'm fasting, I'll get down to 150, but when I start to eat a little bit again, I'll be up to about 154. And some days, if I'm going really hard at the gym and I want to really just indulge myself a little bit extra, not because I'm trying to find food pleasurable, but because I need the fuel, like I need the calories, because I've been working so much. Like over the past 2 weeks or so, I've been breaking records like you wouldn't believe. I've never thought I would be able to break the records that I'm breaking at the gym right now. 5 years ago, if you asked me this kind of stuff, when I was nearly 200 pounds at one point, if you asked me, like, hey, do you think you're ever going to run 4 miles in 33 minutes? No. Guess what I did the other day? 4 miles in 33 minutes. I've never done that before. And I'm sure there are people that are faster than me out there. Okay, I'm not trying to, like, but at the same time, this is cool for me. This is cool because I'm seeing what the human body is capable of, and I'm seeing how my dedication to my craft is manifesting itself. And I'm not saying that working out is going to be the only way to get this energy from semen retention out of you. But I'm also not saying that you shouldn't be not going to the gym. You should be going to the gym. And it's not for the ladies, it's for you. Do you want to be old and decrepit? Like, I've met this guy at the gym. He's got to be 84, 85. He's in his mid-80s. This guy was playing racquetball. Now, he's got a helmet that he wears, and he's got, like, a brace around his back, so if he falls, he doesn't get hurt or anything. But guess what? That dude is still freaking playing, and he's not bad. He is really not bad. For an 85-year-old, that guy is... He can beat some 20, 25-year-olds that I know, at least in my area that I've seen, for sure. So the fact that this guy can play still at 85 and, he's taking the precaution, but he hasn't given up. And that's the thing, like, you just cannot give up. I said this in a video recently, and I might just put this on a t-shirt because it's affected a lot of people apparently. I've had a lot of people reach out to me about this specific quote is, if you never give up, you're bound not to fail at some point. Sooner or later, you're not going to start, like, you're going to begin to not fail if you just don't give up. And this is what a lot of retards do. They give up. Well, then, and semen retention isn't for the spiritually retarded either. This is something else I wanted to talk about as well in this. Might have to do 2 parts of this video because there's a lot to go into with it, but I think you guys get the gist. And I think that my main point here that I wanted to talk about has been concluded and expressed. But it is true, like, you've been around people that have done psychedelics before and they don't get the same kind of experience that is profound as you, and you get something more out of it because your intentions are for spiritual intentions. You're not just trying to have ooh, this is fun, this is cool. No, it's like, holy, the avalanche of existence is smashing into my face right now. Like, this is something to think about, okay? It's the same kind of thing with retention, Semen retention is not for the weak. It's just not. And there's a reason why it's so difficult. Wow, somebody just started a campfire or something. Somebody's probably making some hot dogs or hamburgers on the fire. Man, that smells good. Oh, that reminds me of the camp season. I'm so glad that camping season is almost here. Man, it's been a long winter. We've had snow off and on since November, and it's freaking April. And it's now finally starting to get to a place to where we can go outside and walk again without having to worry too much about the mud or the slush. I love the winter, though. Don't get me wrong. I do love the winter. I like the long nights of the winter. There's something about the long nights that my creativity just goes through the roof during the winter time. Whereas the summer, it's definitely more physical. It's more active, right? And that kind of makes sense spiritually too. You kind of reap what you sow from the winter in the summer. But anyways, guys, I hope this video was useful and insightful for you. If you do want to join the Regal Change Academy, where we have an elite group of spiritual people that are striving to embody values and principles that go beyond just this worldly stuff, consider joining, because that group is elite for sure. There are people in there that you know, it's really something to be able to be in a community like this, where, and to have one. I think I like to think of it as everybody's community that's in it, and that's a part of it, because this is me in a way giving back to the people of some kind. I'm providing something that is valuable for the people that they're going to be able to take with them as experiences for the rest of their life. We've already made a lot of memories in that academy, and thinking about the memories and thinking about just in a year, we've just started this academy a year ago, and just to think about all the kinds of growth that we've seen, and the kinds of people that we've had, and the kinds of people that have continued to stay and stuck around. And those guys and ladies are going to be the ones that go off to do some amazing things, because they're embodying everything. They're not trying to force anything on anybody. They are living what is true, and they are letting die what is false. And that's something else I've realized too, is the more that you build people, the more that they're able to build their own life too. That's what's really cool to see. And I also have a free Telegram subscription that you can check out. Links in the description box below. And I also have a appreciation that I want to disclose to everybody for moving from the YouTube platform over to X, Rumble, and Instagram recently. I do appreciate everybody's extra support, and I do appreciate everybody that is tuning in and leaving a like and a comment. And feel free, if you've gotten to this point, to subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed what you heard, or anything resonated, or there was any kind of edification for you. With all that being said, I might just go on a walk now and upload this in a bit. So we'll see you next time. Peace be with you.